I figured I'd start off in slots mode for this one. I've got a flex machine here with the loop to ping pong and the time stretch to off. So these are all the samples that I currently have loaded to the flex sample slots. I really like how that ping pong loop is affecting things. I'll probably try something with these vocal chops. I accidentally placed this kick at the end of the sample slot list. I was originally intending to load the samples just in the order that they were in the sample pack, so I'm just going to smash in a quick pattern with the live record. Hold down the record button while pressing the play button to engage live record. I'm thinking I want to record a 2-bar pattern. I was really liking the ping pong loop kicks and the vocal chops, so that's what I'm going to go with. I'm not even going to use a metronome or anything. I'll just let the quantization go to work and let it end up where it wants to. Mostly I just want a sparse enough pattern to engage the ping pong looping. Cool, that's good enough to go with for now. Let's take a look and grid record. There's nothing on the first step, might as well copy a kick onto that. Okay, gotta get some more flavor on this one. Maybe just a little filter to start. I'm thinking I want to smash this whole track together with a compressor. I'll turn the RMS all the way up. I want the compressor to act fairly smoothly in response to the peaks in the signal. I'm going to go for fairly aggressive compressor settings. I'm starting with a slow attack and a long release, but I'll probably adjust that a bit in a moment. Now time to feel it out a bit. I have to hear the compressor start working a bit before I can really adjust it in any meaningful way. Okay, I can always revisit this later. This is pretty dry, so I want a neighbor machine on this next track. I don't think I want the default delay. I think I'm just going to use the dark reverb. As I usually do, I'm going to set it to send configuration and put some pre-delay on that. Not really sure what I want to do here with the reverb. Since I have a kick on this channel, it could get messy pretty quick. It's very interesting how the dark reverb shelving frequency has an effect even with shelving gain set to 0. I want to narrow down this reverb's frequency range quite a bit. That's not bad. So what next? Thinking I want to have a resampling channel here, but let's add some more sounds first. Or actually, I want to spice up that pattern. Take a look at these triggers here. I'll try repitching some of the vocal chops. No reason not to try repitching some of the kicks as well. I like that pretty well. Time for another sound. As usual, I'll start with a flex machine with time stretch to off. I'm going to turn the loop setting to on. At this point, I have no idea what I want to do, so I'm just going to listen to some samples. Yeah, a clap would be good. Kind of hearing just a strong backbeat for this one. I don't want all the tracks to have the same length though at this point, so I'll enable per track scaling. Kind of mess that clap up a bit. The only reason it's still triggering is because of loop behavior. Gotta fix that first track as well. Notice my master length is already at 64. That's better. Okay, let's get back to that clap. This clap got triggered by trigs that are actually on the second bar, which is no longer active. There, getting a bit more proper now. Trying to think what I want to do with this clap. I'll try messing with the amplitude envelope first. Now I'll try some sort of time-based effect. Not sure if flanger will work here, but I think I'll try it. Nah, not feeling the flanger too much. I was thinking phaser anyway, so I'll probably just go back to that now. I'll crank up that phaser stage control. Now to make this clap a little bit wet. That's good enough for now. I want to get on to another sound. I'm itching to do a little resampling, but I'll resist for now. Get a flex machine down, loop on, and time stretch off. I see this already has bass 1 loaded. Might as well go with it. I'm hearing just a simple funky pattern. I'll make this only 14 steps long. Okay, time to spice up those triggers. Might as well do some octaves. What else could make this a little more interesting? Maybe I'll try a little bit of retrigger. Yeah, I'll put some P-locks in for that. And I'll add another trigger. I'll put a trigger condition on this one to create more pattern variation. I only very rarely use the probability-based trigger conditions. I want something other than just octaves in this bass line. I guess a fifth it is. And a trigger condition on that one. Time for another conditional trigger. I'm trying to carefully choose my trigger conditions in order to obtain the greatest variation from the smallest amount of triggers possible. This bass sound needs to get thicker. I'll roll off some of the highs, a little bit of filter resonance, and now it's time to add a compressor for some beef. I don't want a totally smooth reaction, but I don't want a peak compressor either. Not going to try to shape the sound too much with this compressor. It's more about adding some gain at the moment. Okay, time to tighten up this amplitude envelope. I'm thinking putting some modulation on the release time would be pretty fun. A little bit too much, and I'm going to set it to hold. Have to get a satisfying speed relationship. Time to adjust the center point for that modulation. Maybe a little extra hold time as well. Not sure if there's anything else I want to do to this sound at this point. I'll try pitching down all the non-P-locked samples. Yeah, that's boring. Okay, time to set up what I've been wanting to do for a while. I'm going to set this up as a resampling channel. I'll do loop as ping pong. and time stretch off. Now I need to set up the recorder buffer. This is just going to be a regular resampling channel. If you're curious about conditional sampling approaches, check out the card that just popped up. I'm setting it to record from the queue for flexibility. I only want a relatively short recording. Okay, it's about time to get a record trig down. Okay, I'm going to give this track a custom step length. Not quite sure how long I want it. Definitely going to increase that master pattern length though. I feel like setting this to an odd number. Time to get some playback trigs down now. Just throwing some trigs down. Oops, I need to reset this track to reference its recording buffer. And I also just realized I need to cue a track to feed that recording buffer. I'll try both these tracks for fun. A big advantage of using the cue is being able to set up a submix. This is clearly not our resampling buffer. Let's get that fixed. So recorder buffer 5. Let's take a look at that waveform. Close to clipping sometimes, but not quite. Probably good for now. Time to start putting some work into this resampling channel. Mess with the filter a bit. I'll use that default delay. I'll engage the delay filter a bit. Okay, time for a neighbor machine. You can probably guess that I want some reverb now. A little bit different pre-delay on this one though. Pump up the ambience on that. I'll be changing what gets fed into this resampling channel, so I'm going to proactively filter the reverb. Time to repitch this resampling. Ooh, I'm really enjoying the sound of that. Maybe bring back in some of the low frequencies. Quite like that counterpoint going on. Might as well cue the clap as well, see what happens. The high pass filter is biting pretty hard on some of those bass notes here. So I was sneaky with this project, and I already have a compressor on the master track. We're creating fairly dynamic signals at this point, so it'll be useful to tame it a bit. Generally for master track uses, I'm going to set the master track compressor to full RMS. Listen carefully as I adjust the release time on the compressor. I didn't want to talk much during that, so you could really hear the action of the compressor. That smoothed things out a bit and added a bit of pump. Time to change up the Q bus. Take a look at that resampling buffer. Getting some fun tones from the bass track. I'll try a couple other submixes. Nothing too exciting happening. For now, I want to just hear it with the vocal chops channel in the queue. Okay, might as well try all of them. You can cue a source audio track separately from a neighbor track, which is pretty cool. Pretty close to clipping with this submix. I'm trying to decide if I want to go into the mixer menu and turn down the cue. Feeling like some more effects on the resampling channel. I'd like to increase the harmonic and melodic complexity, so I'm going to go with the comb filter. I'll set it up to resonate, and then I'll find a few pitches that work with this. Trying to get the right amount of brightness. Now I have a better idea of what kind of scale I want to work with. I'll just put in a couple pitches I like. I'll put more detail into this when I come back to it in the future. I'm going to dial that comb filter in a bit more. A little bit of detune on the comb filter is always nice. I'll cue up the bass sound now instead, and I'll also mute the bass track so we only hear the resampling. Switching a comb filter from negative to positive feedback changes it from odd harmonics to even harmonics, and also increases the pitch of those harmonics by an octave. Let's get those vocals back in there. I like this basic idea a lot. I don't really want to mess with it that much more in this session. Once I can picture or hear in my mind how I want to finish something, then I usually want to sit on it for a moment. Then after I reflect on what I really like about the idea, the next session can be more focused. When I reach a point in a production session with the Octatrack where I don't want to keep altering the basic ideas, that's often where I'll begin to start developing potential scene variations. So I'm going to deactivate scene A, and I'll set scene B to scene slot 16. Now it's a little bit of an adventure to see what parameters will be the most fun. Sample pitch is a common scene lock target. Down a fourth sounds pretty good here. Filters are also an excellent target for scene locks. And comb filters as well, of course. I'll change up the ambience of the reverb a bit. It's important to realize the scene changes will also get imprinted into the resampling. This scene variation is starting to shape up a bit. I'll adjust the scene locks for the filter on the bass sound now. Getting some interesting saturation there with the resampling action. Now back to the filter on the resampling channel. I'll put a pitch scene lock on the resampling channel now. nice. Changes the register relationships between the different audio channels. I'll put the clap back into the Q bus and see if anything interesting happens. I'll check the recording buffer for any clipping. I'll try a pitch seam lock on the clap now. Now I'll try putting some seam locks on the retrigger. I'll probably dig into the retriggering more in a future session. I tend to enjoy controlling it with LFOs, and that takes more time to dial in than I want to spend in this video. Not sure where to go next. I'll take a look around. I'll try messing with the phaser on the clap. And I never did anything with the second effect on this track. Seam locks on rhythmic delays can be excellent for producing rhythmic variation. Just kind of getting a big mess out of this right now, though. We'll take a look at the resampling channel. Close to clipping, but not quite, it looks like. I'm going to mute the clap and the bass. I'll mess with those filter scene locks a bit. And I'll bring back the bass.